असङ्गोऽहम् असङ्गोऽहम् पुनः पुनः सच्चिदानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः नित्यशुद्धविमुक्तोऽहम् निराकारोऽहमव्ययः भूमानन्दस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः नित्योऽहम् निरवद्योऽहम् निराकारोऽहमच्युतः परमानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः शुद्धचैतन्यरूपोऽहम् आत्मा रामोऽहमेव च अखण्डानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः प्रत्यक्षचैतन्यरूपोऽहम् शान्तोऽहम् प्रकृतेः परः शाश्वतानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः तत्त्वातीतपरात्माहम् मध्यातीतः परशिवः मायातीतपरञ्ज्योतिः अहमेवाहमव्ययः नानारूपव्यतीतोऽहम् चिदाकारोऽहमच्युतः सुखरूपस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः माया तत्कार्यदेहादि मम नास्त्येव सर्वदा स्वप्रकाशैकरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः गुणत्रयव्यतीतोऽहम् ब्रह्मादीनां च साक्ष्यहम् अनन्तानन्दरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः अन्तर्ज्योतिस्वरूपोऽहम् कूटस्थः सर्वभूस्म्यहम् सर्वसाक्षिस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः द्वन्द्वादिसाक्षिरूपोऽहम् अचलोऽहं सनातनः सर्वसाक्षिस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः प्रज्ञानघन एवाहम् विज्ञानघन एव च अकर्ताहम् अभोक्ताहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः निराधारस्वरूपोऽहम् सर्वाधारोऽहमेव च आप्तकामस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः तापत्रयविनिर्मुक्तः देहत्रयविलक्षणः अवस्थात्रयसाक्ष्यस्मि अहमेवाहमव्ययः दृग्दृश्यौ द्वौ पदार्थौ स्तः परस्परविलक्षणौ दृग्ब्रह्मदृश्यं मायेति सर्ववेदान्तडिण्डिमः अहं साक्षीति यो विद्यात् विविच्यैवं पुनः पुनः स एव मुक्तः स विद्वान् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः घटकुड्यादिकं सर्वं मृत्तिकामात्रमेव च तद्वद्ब्रह्म जगत्सर्वम् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः ब्रह्म सत्यं जगन्मिथ्या जीवो ब्रह्मैव नापरः अनेन वेद्यं सच्छास्त्रम् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः अन्तर्ज्योति बहिर्ज्योतिः प्रत्यग्ज्योतिः परात्परः ज्योतिज्योति स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिशिवोऽस्म्यहम् ज्योतिज्योति स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिशिवोऽस्म्यहम्
To all of you, please come. Let's invoke the prayers of the Almighty together. Let's chant and pray together. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amrutam gamaya. Sahana vavatu sahano bhunaktu sahaviryankaravavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. O Lord, the Almighty, the Omniscient, the Omnipresent, the Omnipotent, who also has the divine name as Vatsaraha, to such a glorious Almighty. Together, we all with Shraddha, Bhakti, and Vairagya, Prapatti, we offer our humble salutations at your lotus feet to seek your grace, your love, your mercy, your affection, your benevolence, your kindness, your strength, your forgiveness. O Lord, bless us with the divine qualities which are Shraddha, Bhakti, Jnana, Vairagya, Prapatti and Mumukshutva in a much more enhanced proportion, only and only to hasten our path towards self-realization and make us eligible to have the first-hand experience of Thy true self right within our own hearts. the Aparoksha Anubhuthi. This can happen only and only with your grace and mercy. Hence we beseech again and again with you to make this a reality for all of us in this very life alone. Give us the strength, the determination not to waver from the Swadhyaya, from the Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. Other things in the world keep pulling us away, but give me the willpower to make this as the topmost priority of my life. I offer my humble salutations to the Guru Parampara. Om Tat Sat. Today, with the grace of the Almighty and the blessings of the Guru Parampara, we are on our Divine Discourse number 432 and Aparoksha Anubhuthi sequence 20. On the 1st of July 2025, Swasti Shri Vishwavasunam Samvatsara Uttarayana Grishma Rutu Ashadamasa Shukla Paksha Bhaumavasare Shashthyatito Purva Falguni Nakshatra Vyadriti Yoge Taitulakarane. On this auspicious day of Tuesday and the auspicious time of the evening, we all reaffirm our pledge and oath. Na ham karta hari preranaya hari prityartham. There is one and one alone, and I need to get established in this truth. Whatever is happening through me and through all that I see in this universe is nothing but an appearance in that reality. And this is that divine supreme knowledge which I am trying to seek at your lotus feet, O Lord. Make this a reality for me and make me be situated in this reality all the time. Our humble salutations once again to the Guru Parampara. Om Tat Sat. Good evening, everybody. A very warm welcome to all of you once again. I many times look at where we are in terms of the speed at which we are going, but then I realize this is something which need not be looked at all. So hence you also please don't look at that. I fully understand the prime catches for a sadhak. Where a sadhak can get stuck, Maybe even he's studying for a decade or 2 or 3, whatever is the time. Once you know that where you're getting stuck, then it is better to ensure that you also don't get stuck over there. And I'll tell you one simple aspect. What Bhagavan Shankaracharya says is, you cross over all the 13 steps. And when you come to dhyana, that is the 14th step, which he has prescribed as practices for attaining enlightenment or self-realization, he makes it very clear that from the 14th, if you have to go to the ultimate step, 15th step, which is samadhi, one vital aspect what we understood was, one need not go even to samadhi. Self-realization happens in the 14th step, which is dhyana. And now how does this self-realization happen in dhyana? He says, not by using your mind. Mind is again where there is Maya. So then how do I get into that state of nididhyasana, the so-called nididhyasana? He says, it has to become yourself. The true self, what is there, that knowledge, that you have to become that knowledge. Not that you know that knowledge. See, this is a very vital aspect. I hope I'm making it clear over here. Initially, see, as we are learning, we have to, first we have understood it, and then we think about it, we get some kind of a doubt. And then as we get that doubt, we clarify that doubt, and we're extremely clear that now this is my cup of tea. And you go into this state of nididhyasana, where that knowledge should soak into you, it should get immersed into you. And what you become? Not that you know that knowledge, but you become that knowledge. Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati. The knower of Brahman becomes Brahman, not the knower. He no more continues to be a knower. Just like a salt doll is there. A salt doll says, I want to measure the depth of the ocean. And it goes. He says, I will measure today. At any cost, I will see how deep the ocean is. And as it goes, it gets dissolved. And then there is no salt doll separately which you can see. So that should be our status. So knowing this pretty well, if I rush through and take you there, then it is I'm only going to leave you at your own behest. Now you all practice, you all do whatever you all want, and it is your story, up to you. We come to those kind of understanding. But if I'm able to again and again reiterate what I'm trying to tell you, if that is done, then you're well prepared. So I would also suggest you all should listen to whatever has been told, make notes, and then you yourself read the notes what you have written. And then after you have read, you will understand how much you know. So this understanding is extremely important. So I am bringing in several other things to make the understanding concrete. Not just giving you that knowledge. See, I'll give an example. You ask a small child, a 3 or a 4-year-old child, and you ask him, what is nose? Okay, you asked him, what is nose? Now the child will, it's not that, it will tell this nose is a sense organ which is going to help you in respiration or for olfactory purposes in terms of smelling objects. No, that's also a right reply. For words, we have words. But the child will immediately say, nose, this is nose. It will press its nose and show you, this is nose. We want that over here. Not explanations anymore. When you go to dhyana, you have to place your finger on your nose. That should be our aim. Just because after the samadhi, what does he say? He says, after you have gained all this experience, you have reached that state of dharana, dhyana and samadhi. By your practices, he first says you can leave your practices. Now understand this carefully. What is the meaning of this? Meaning you no more need your practices. Like for example, you prepared well for your IIT. When are you preparing for your IIT? From the 8th standard or 9th standard. Now there are students who prepare from the secondary school education for IIT. From then you have prepared for IIT. But then after you get a seat in the IIT, will you even go back to see the entrance test of an IIT? Not required, because you have already achieved what you want. So in the same way here he says, now once you have become that, not you have known that, you have become that, leave everything aside. Okay, up to this point was okay to understand. But then he goes to another level. He says, you be in this world, transact in this world, and any point of time you feel disturbed or you get a chance, immediately at the flick of a finger, you should be able to get established in consciousness. Meaning what? That knowledge has to be so deep within you. And take my words, it is possible. Because you have constantly been doing that. How does it happen constantly? Because you will not be able to stay there for a long time. Initially it could be a fraction of a second. Then it will be for 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Then slowly the duration will increase as you practice. So there is a constant click. Going into consciousness, coming out of consciousness, going in, going out. So that's a natural process. So you are already used to this kind of a sway. So once you have that knowledge, you have made that understanding, then it is so clear that in the midst of a discussion, even it could be a hot discussion, you can raise your mind and get established in that consciousness. And if that is achieved, he says, even if you are not able to be in that state of samadhi, that focus, that concentration, it doesn't matter, you are already liberated. What is important is getting that knowledge is important and staying with it. And as I told you, in and out is permitted. If you want to experience bliss, you can. When you are doing that particular act on a continuous basis, then you are experiencing that bliss. Experience it how much ever you want. That's when you don't want anything else in this world, because you are so very satiated. Like somebody comes, home, you tell them, come, please have some snacks or have a meal with us. He says, no. Then okay, then at least take these snacks. He says, no. Then at least have something to drink, some tea or some beverage. He says, no, I have had everything. Have you not seen this? Now why is that person saying? Because he has had his quota full. He cannot take anymore. So this person who may have nothing, he may be a muni, a sadhu, we have seen these are the people who are immersed in that meditation. And you will see them blissful, all the time blissful. Why? Reason is they are getting that bliss from within. Even they are maybe special people, they have got that bliss within. But where I am a sinner, where will I have that bliss? Then the scriptures say, a sinner and a saint, they both have that bliss at the same level. Not anything more, not anything less. Can you beat this? Then why is it I am not able to access it? The only reason you are not able to access it is mind is something which covers it up. Just like the sun is shining bright, but as the dark cloud comes in front of it, that shining sun, it is covered. And no sooner the mind, the cloud moves away, it is blazing forth. In the same way, this mind always covers the bliss within us. How does it cover? The agitations in the mind. How many wants you have? Make a list. What is constantly bothering you? Some desire is bothering you. Something which you want is bothering you. You call it in different names. But something which is bothering you, that is agitating. That is like the cloud. And it covers this bliss all the time. And you say, no, what are you saying? But when I see that a particular desire gets fulfilled, I feel that bliss. Oh, I saw that happiness. The moment that desire got fulfilled, I saw that happiness. Now, what that shows is, for that moment, that which was all the time oscillating and covering the, oscillation means it's covering the sun, that cloud. The thought is the cloud, and that cloud covering the sun is keeping you away from that bliss. The sunlight is the bliss, let's say that way, metaphor. And you will see that for that moment you got happiness. You will say, look, I aspired for this, and the moment I got it, I am so happy. No. Understand this very carefully. Then you will never chase desires, I'll tell you. You will start chasing your inner self. Because you know where the joy is. What I'm going to tell you, understand this carefully. Now, what happened? For that moment, when that desire was achieved, the oscillation stopped and that bliss within it shone forth. And you felt that happiness. It was not from the object. Now I'll tell you how it is not from the object. Now you wanted to eat let's say a sweet. Let's say, take a simple example, gulab jamun. Okay, you wanted to eat a gulab jamun. And you go to one of the favorite shops where it is known for giving the best of the gulab jamun. And then as you go there, it's coming in front of you. You had all the time you were thinking, I should go there and have this. And when that came in front of you, you put it in your mouth. Oh, you were so happy because that oscillation stopped. Now, if that gulab jamun had the impact or the power to give you happiness, you had the second one, you had the third one, you had the fourth one. What happened eventually? You say, stop, 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 stop. And you come to a stage where you say, if you give me one more, I'm going to puke. If the joy was in that gulab jamun, then the more you have, the more joy you should get, isn't it? Think rationally. This is the way we experience joy in our life. And there's a beautiful story to narrate this. There is a dog and it got a piece of bone. So it started chewing that bone. You know, you've seen how they chew. It chews from the left, from the right, from the front, from the back. All along it is chewing the bone. And eventually it starts getting a kick. And then what it does, it experiences it for some time and then it goes and buries the bone somewhere near the tree, so that it can again get it back whenever it needs. And From time and again it has been doing this. Now what is exactly happening there is, when it is chewing that dry bone, the bone cuts the inner skin of the mouth, and the blood which is secreted from the inner mouth, that gives it pleasure, and the dog foolishly thinks that this bone has got that blood. And whenever it wants to taste that blood, get the kick out of that blood, it goes and it brings the bone back wherever it is buried. So all the pleasures we are getting is not in the object. It is, we are able to allow the bliss within to shine forth. That's all. So if you are able to practice now whatever is going to be discussed, once you get into that practice and you devise the right way of living, then you are already experiencing bliss all along. So you are like that guest who comes and he says, I have had everything, I don't even want a glass of water, he'll say. Because he is done everything. So that should be our state. And I tell you, you will feel that. You will not feel like unnecessarily what used to earlier have, I should go there, I should see that, I should eat that, I should feel that, I should experience that. That will not come. But out of custom, tradition, if you have to do, fine. But if it is not there, it will not create any harm to you. Okay. So why I told all this was to ensure that we understand the rate of speed, and you focus on getting the concepts right. And for that, practice is extremely important. Make your notes, as I told you, read and understand for yourself what is coming right, what is not coming right. Okay. Now, let's just touch verse number 47, and then I'll take you to various other areas. Okay. This is 47. Now before this, what we shall do is, I'll just give you a brief recap of what is happening in the last 3 verses. Okay, 44, 45 and 46. So 44 says, now remember we have taken a U-turn. Okay, as though the ignorance of the real nature of the rope and the very rope appears in an instant as a snake. Just because of the ignorance of the real nature of the rope, we don't know, it appears in an instant as a snake. So he says, so also does this pure consciousness appear in the form of the phenomenal universe in so many varieties in front of you. He said this in 44. Now in verse 45 he says, there exists no other material cause of this phenomenal universe excepting Brahman. Meaning whatever it is made of, whatever you see as names and forms are nothing but Brahman and Brahman alone. Hence this whole universe is but Brahman and nothing else. See where he's taking you. This is the rarest of the rarest of the rarest knowledge. Please understand, it only comes by Ishvara Krupa. Try to understand this. Don't allow it to go above your head. Extremely, you can say, concepts which go above your head, straight, a bouncer. So earlier what you understood, you have seen a rope which is mistaken for a snake. So in the same way, whatever you see in the world is nothing similar to the snake and rope story. And then he says, not only that, That doesn't mean that whatever you are seeing is something different. It is that Brahman and Brahman alone. And after that, in verse 46, he says, look, even Shrutis, Upanishads, Vedas, Smritis, even they say all this is Brahman. It follows that idea of the pervaded and the pervading is illusory. Like there is a room, there is an agarbatti lit over there. That fragrance pervades the entire room. Isn't it? So he said this room is pervaded by that fragrance. Here it says, you must have heard that this Lord pervades every atom. Isn't it? Kan kan mein hai Bhagwan. It's not kan kan mein hai. It is that this Lord is that atom. There is nowhere that he is something different, and in that this pervasion is happening. He says, for the higher category of seekers, I am telling this supreme truth when realized. He says, then where is the room for the distinction between the cause and the effect? He drives us to that reality. Meaning, there is something called as a cause, and there is something called as an effect. Example, cause is the clay. Out of clay, what comes? The effect is the pot. These both are no two things, because here you have understood that the Shruti says all is Brahman. Okay. Now, having understood this, now we go to verse 47 and then we move on. Shrutya nivaritam nunam nanatvam swamukena hi katam bhaso bhaveddanyaha sthite chadvaya karane. He says, again he comes back to Shruti, Shrutya. By its own direct statements, it has totally negated the variety, multiplicity of the universe. When that non-dual cause means where there are no two, as a cause, is such an established fact, how can there be anything which is appearing from it? So whatever you see is nothing but that Paramatma, Brahman, Atman alone. You understand this? Okay, now I'll just share with you, there are some 3 important concepts of what we call as the theories of how this Brahman is supposed to be understood. Okay. Now, note that although these 3 come from 3 different schools, all these 3 vadas means the logics, or these from various schools of thought, they are supported by the Brahma Sutras. And in fact, Bhagavan Shankaracharya also uses in his commentaries where he has made on several Upanishads. So you don't have to doubt from whether this source itself is right or wrong. They all come in the Brahma Sutras and it has been used extensively. Now, why you should know this is, time and again, whenever they are talking about Brahman and his appearance, it will be amongst these 3 schools. So somewhere you must be listening. First is the Avachedavada, the limitation theory. Now this was by the Bhamati school of Vachaspati Mishra, and what he says is, he uses the word Ghatakasha and Mahakasha. Ghatakasha is like your body, a pot. Whatever space is in the pot, it is known as that Akasha. Akasha means space. It is inside that pot. It is limited to that. So you can compare it to your pindanda. Pindanda means the jiva, where within this body there is consciousness, awareness. Mahakasha. Mahakasha is the whole universe where you have this space. So this is known as the limitation theory. What has limited me from that consciousness is just like the outer surface of the pot has limited that space becoming one with the Mahakasha. In the same way, here my skin has limited me becoming one with the universal consciousness. So at the body level and at the mind level, my ego has limited me from becoming one with the superconsciousness. And they also give an example where you have a huge mountain of cotton, let's say. You go to a cotton factory, you will have those. You'll be seeing like buildings which are 10 floors, 15 floors, to that height you will have a heap of cotton. And you take some cotton from there and you stitch cloth over it for a pillow. Okay. Now what happens? That is known as a pillow. It becomes different from that heap of the cotton. The moment you remove that cloth, it becomes one with that heap. So this is the Ghatakasha and Mahakasha Avachedavada. So consciousness is like that Akasha, that heap of cotton. You are actually that, but segregating yourself like becoming a small pillow, you are called differently. Okay, this is one school of thought. See, these are not related to the verse anymore. But why I am saying this is, reason is you have to get the concept. And that getting that concept, as I told you, in that dhyana meditation, you have no chance to think. It should come spontaneously to you. Meaning that should become your knowledge. Or you have become that knowledge. This is one. Now the second one. Pratibhimbavada, reflection theory. Now what does this reflection theory, who is one of the four prominent first disciples of Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya, Padmapada Acharya. His school was known as Vivarana school. Now in Vivarana school, he uses the reflection theory, Pratibhimba. What am I? This jiva. See, there the pindanda was that pot. Restriction is by the pot. Now here he says, in reflection, take for example, there is a bucket of water and there is sun shining up there, and that reflection is falling on this water in the bucket. So that reflection is the jiva. But if you are restricted to that, so that bucket, the mind which is the water, and that reflection which is the reflected consciousness, Chidabhasa, you will be going in and around there. But understand, you are not the reflection, but you are that sun which is shining up there. And they also use this Pratibhimbavada, this sun and the moon example also. Like when you say moon, and you can say the moon is nothing but the sun. How can you say the moon is nothing but the sun? Yes, because the moon is shining only because of the sun. These concepts also keep coming. So in that concept, now you allow everything to go in your mind. So that what happens when you're studying deeply, when you're doing that manana, naturally all these neurons will get connected. And a proper neural pathway will be formed in your mind. So just allow the concepts, feed them inside your brain. Okay. Second one, Pratibhimbavada. Now the third one comes, Abhasavada. Again a very prominent teacher of the first four disciples of Bhagavan Sri Shankaracharya, Sureshwara Acharya, who formed the Vartika school. Vartika school is that appearance theory. There is no reflection here. He says very clearly the face and the mirror example. Now I am standing in front of the mirror. So in that mirror there is a face. You are not the reflection which is there in the face or that appearance which is in the face, but you are the person who is standing in front of the mirror. So now how we use this? We use this as characters in the dream of consciousness. We are all appearances. Is there a person in the mirror? Yes, it looks live, as though there is a person there, but there is no person there in the mirror. It is just an appearance. So use this vada, this logic, this theory, that just like you see characters in your mind which appear in your dream, they are all appearances in consciousness. Now in waking state, what happens? Their appearances is consciousness. Just like in a dream, their appearances in your mind. What is supporting the mind? The consciousness is supporting our mind. So once you know, just as a dream is projected by our own mind, clear up till here? I know that I dreamt. Where was the dream? In my mind. But in waking state, what happens? It is not a projection of our mind, but an appearance in consciousness. See, this is so very clear. Now, how do I understand this? As you all have seen by that Donald Hoffman of the University of California, what did he say? We do not see reality as it is. We see a user interface shaped by the evolution, meaning by the creator, to guide adaptive behavior. And what does it say? Not to reveal truth. So this particular scientist, Hoffman, he is known for his illusion theory, which happens in perception. It exactly propagates, and it's on the same lines. It corroborates the principle of Maya, which we use in Advaita Vedanta. And if you are able to understand this, there is a major breakthrough for us in our study. So that's why I call it as God's grace, which I got this just about 10 days back. And we already used it in our previous session. So now know that we have all had dreams. Mind has the capacity to project a dream. Up till here it's very clear. Yes, I can project a world. People, places, objects, situations, circumstances, all kinds of situations, scenarios I can project in my mind. Now, when you wake up, where did that waking mind go? Are you going to extinguish it? It became one with the waker. The dreaming mind, which had dreamt all that, it became one with the waker's mind. So in the same way, now what happens? The next level of so-called dream, a different kind of a dream. Here, your mind projects a world in front of you. That's the reason we see different worlds. Now, a beggar is in a world of his own. A millionaire is a world of his own. A sportsman is in a world of his own. A music artist is in a world of his own. A chef is in a world of his own. Likewise, every single person they have their own world. So, according to our prarabdha, like say there are 100 people who are wearing the Apple Vision Pro goggles, okay, they wear it. Every person is having the world of their own. It is that same Vision Pro, but they have calibrated a program for their own purpose. Somebody wants to do skiing, somebody wants to go on a trek, somebody wants to bungee dive, somebody wants to be next to a lake, somebody wants to be in a desert. Everybody has created their own projection of their mind. So understand carefully that everything what is happening. Now this is very difficult to grasp. But take the dream example, you are sorted. So now we got to know that these three schools, anywhere and everywhere you get an example, relate to them. And know that I am no different. To make it easy for you, never try to approach that reality. I am that reality. Don't do that. That reality is this, or this is nothing but that reality. Don't say I am that reality. Aham Brahmasmi, please. That is not at this stage. That is something which will come on its own. When you have that conviction, you will say that without your knowledge. But don't practice it on. Tattvamasi is fine. Prajnanam Brahma is fine. These help you in rising above. Okay. So we have now understood these three parameters. Now I'll come to one very important aspect again, where in this particular verse, what we see is, it very clearly says there is no plurality. Immediately you will say, what are you talking? Shrutya is saying there is no plurality. Fine, but here I see there are so many humans. There are so many animals. There are so many birds. There is so many aquaculture, trees, planets. What is this? You are saying there is no plurality. So now then they come to that. He says, look, you are in a classroom. Okay. Now you see there are about 100 students sitting there. There are about 40 benches. Now, how many benches are there, you ask? You take a count and you say there are 40 benches. Okay. How many wood is there? What are you asking? There is only one wood. Same way. How that same one wood has been appearing in the form of 40 benches. So taking the previous shlokas, what we understood, it is there is no difference in the cause and effect. That same cause has become an effect and appearing differently. Katham bhaso bhavedanyaha. Bhasa means appearance. Bhavedanya means it is appearing differently. So once you get this, sthite chadvaya karine. Sthite chadvaya karine means when that non-dual cause is established, then one is established in that Brahman. Meaning apart from pure existence, consciousness, bliss, there is no second thing called a universe. Let it be whatever number of humans you are seeing, animals you are seeing, birds you are seeing, creatures you are seeing, doesn't matter. All that is appearing, that one and one alone. Okay. Now what I have done is, I have taken about 7 verses from VIVEKACHOODAMANI. Okay, these are verses 465 to 471. Now what does this do, VIVEKACHOODAMANI? Why I have taken this? Reason is, this is again written by Bhagavan Shankaracharya, and it is known as the crest jewel. It has got that highest status. It's one of the most versatile commentaries, or the prakarana grantha by Bhagavan Shankaracharya. It has about 581 verses. Okay, almost you can say 4 times the size of, rather 5 times the size of, 4 times the size of Aparoksha Anubhuthi. So what I'll do is I'll take one verse today. I need to also brief you on something else. Here, why I'm taking this is, here the same word is there. There is no plurality. So what he tries to explain is, unless and until you know the nature of this consciousness which cannot be described, right? So he makes a logic over here and tries to understand this. I'll take one verse at least today, and then I'll tell you some other concepts, and then we'll get back to meditation. Okay. Now what that verse says is, this is verse number 465. Paripurnam anadi anantam prameya vikriyam ekamevadvayam brahma nehananasti kinchana. Ekamevadvayam brahma nehananasti kinchana. This, the second line, will be common in all these verses. What does that say? It simply says that there is only Brahman, that Paramatma, and in it there is no duality. Nehananasti kinchana. Whatsoever. Kinchana means whatsoever. Nehananasti. There is no duality. Ekamevadvayam. There is only Brahman. Okay, now what does he say? That which is ever full with nothing else in it, paripurna. That which is ever full with nothing else in it, therefore the one without a second, ekamadvidiyam, paripurna. Without beginning or without end, anadi anantam, means without birth and death. What is that now? That Atma in you is talking about that. And aprameya, incomparable, there is nothing that can compare with it, because it is beyond the realms of the body, mind, intellect, or the objects, emotions and thoughts. So it says, since it is unique, it cannot be compared with any of our experiences in the lower planes of consciousness. Imagine now, what is the experience of a person who is flying at, say, 3,000 feet above ground, of the same land? He is 3,000 feet above. He will be seeing a different landscape. He is in the higher plane of consciousness. We are at the ground level. So our understanding is a different plane of consciousness. So he tries to say, if you have to see what that person is seeing from the higher plane, you have to reach that plane. So in other words, it is transcendental. Similarly, it is changeless in as much as it never undergoes any modifications. Aparinami. Parinami means that which undergoes change. It does not undergo any change. Brahman is non-dual, advayam. Meaning, being it sajatiya, vijatiya, bheda, rahita, all these different modes of changes one can see, it says it does not undergo any kind of a change. So in the subsequent verses, we will get to understand what is the nature. Like, in fact, the next verse is interesting. It talks about the Sat Chit Ananda, which we have been listening. So what is the meaning of this Sat, existence? Chit, which we call it as essence of knowledge, and Ananda is that external bliss, which I told you that Ananda is there right within us. Why we are not experiencing? Because mind is coming between. And how is this mind? Just like the cloud which covers the blazing sun. Okay, so we'll do this. Now we'll go to something interesting, which is a part of what I want you all to grasp in terms of moving ahead in your sadhana. You all can start right now in terms of this. We are already doing the so-called meditation. So here, imagine, I'll give a metaphor first. Now where are we? We are in the Jiva Bhava. Get this clear. We are all experiencing the Jiva Bhava. What is the Jiva Bhava made of? This Jiva Bhava is made up of my body, where I have a mind, where it is we call as Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and of course a karana sharira. And I am a pramata, meaning I am the knower. I want to know things, what is happening. If I have to eat something, I have to know. If I have to see something, I have to know what it is. If I have to hear something, I have to know. So everywhere you are a knower, which is a pramata. Now, this knower, pramata, with the pramana, objects of knowledge. Like my eye to see becomes an object of knowledge. My ear to hear becomes an object of knowledge. To gather anything regarding hearing. My nose becomes an object of knowledge to smell anything. So this way, this pramata with the pramana objects of knowledge, he knows what can be known. Now anything which I can see, I can see. Now I cannot see which, like you say, okay, see God outside you. I cannot see because it is not seen. Anything which can be seen, like there is a tree in front of me, there is a car in front of me, I can see that. So that becomes prameya, an object of knowledge. I am the subject, knower. That tree becomes the object of knowledge. With my eyes, pramana, I gain knowledge, prama. That means I gain knowledge. Oh, this is tree. Oh, this is a car. Oh, this is a building. That way. So now, constantly this jiva is engaged in this world, using all this pramana, gaining all that knowledge, and with his mind, he is leading a life. Right? And we know the rules of karma, and whatever he has done in the past that hits him, and then he experiences joy, sorrow, all this is happening. And somewhere he gets a realization, what is this life? It's going on and on and on. I think there is something higher to this. So you may, just like you tell your friend, no, we have so far been in ignorance, in darkness, we need to see the light. There is something higher than this. We don't have to suffer actually. Once you know that you will have no suffering, then who will not sign for it? They'll say, I am sold. Please tell me what it is. I am ready to buy right now. And then that person, he starts looking higher. And that Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, it starts happening. And as it happens, he slowly graduates to the next level, which is the witness. Witness meaning what? He witnesses himself. Earlier what this person as a jiva was doing, it was witnessing the world as a pramata. Now he witnesses the pramata. Now these are very, very subtle understandings. First get that concept. So now you have to move from being a jiva to being a witness of the jiva. You're clear? How do I do that? Just like you're witnessing the person sitting next to you. Just like you're witnessing the road, the building, the tree, the cars, the planets, the stars. Just you're seeing that. In the same way, start witnessing your own self. Unbiased. So that is the state of witness. Now from that witness, we have to move on to becoming the pure consciousness. That Paramatma Tattva, the so-called Paramatma Tattva. So now between the Jiva and the Paramatma Tattva, what is there? There is this witness, state of witness. So now I give a metaphor. What is this? Like now, during the rain, sometimes that heavy rains, from somewhere water collects, and in front of your house, this water stream, that brook is flowing. And you don't know when it comes. You come out of the house, you can't cross it, you can't go to you can't go outside your house. So now what you do? You put a stone there in the middle. Let's say if it is 4 feet, you put a stone of in the middle at 2 feet. Then it becomes easy for you to put step 1 on that stone and step 2 you cross over to the other side. So in the same manner, now we have to move from the Jiva Bhava to the Sakshi Bhava. So I'll tell you 2 stories where both these stages, in one story both the stages are shown, but in the former story, which I'll tell you first, between a sage and a king, the story of witness is told. First get that witness straight, meaning one leg should go on that stone, and there if you topple, your feet will go inside the water. So properly place your feet on that stone, meaning become that Sakshi Bhava. Now you are listening. Don't say I am listening. I am seeing this Jiva which is listening. I am seeing this person. Who? Yourself. I am seeing this person who is listening. I am not the listener. I am just watching the listening, the eating, the speaking, the walking, everything. I am just a watcher, the witness. So then you put your first step right. Okay. Now this story basically talks about how to be a witness. There was once a great king who was also a sadhak, deeply interested in spirituality. He was all along studying the scriptures, had all ears to the Upanishadic content. One day, his name is VIVEKACHOODAMANI. Okay. One day, somebody comes and tells him, one of his ministers, "Hey Rajan, I know it is your favorite subject. We have heard that there is a sage who lives deep in the forest. And it is said that he has had the Aparoksha Anubhuthi, meaning he has seen his true self." The king is a king. He immediately says, he gets up and he tells his ministers, everybody, please take care. I am going to meet the sage right now. And as they say, Gadi nikal. So his chariot is set and he starts his journey. And after a few hours, he reaches the ashram. He bows down before the sage. "Oh Mahatma," he says. And the sage looks at his face and says, "Oh King, Rajan, why are you worried? What to tell you, Mahatma? I have conquered lands. I have won so many wars. There are so many people who are under my rule. But yet I see that I am not able to rule this restless mind. Please tell me, who am I truly? I don't understand. What is this happening? Outside I am doing all this, but this one small mind, I am absolutely not able to control it." Now then the king, the sage, it looks at the king and he says, "Don't worry, Rajan. I'll take you somewhere tomorrow. You rest for now and I'll answer your question. Don't worry." Now the king, he was very happy because he saw that confidence in the sage's words, and he said, "Thank God I'm going to get a reply to this problem of mine which is chewing my brain all the time." And next morning, the king gets up and he comes and sees that the sage is already seated in the chariot. He immediately goes. It's like a two-tier, there's one seat at the back and then another seat, and then in front there is a charioteer, and then you have those horses in front. So the sage is already there. He immediately goes, does his pranam, takes his blessings, and he sits there. Now, They said, the sage gives orders to the charioteer, start. And the chariot started. Now, it's that mighty chariot with a well-trained, alert charioteer and those powerful horses, where the charioteer is controlling the reins firmly. And this particular chariot is going through the forests, on the river sides, and on the rocky terrain. It's crossing all that. Suddenly the sage says, stop. After about an hour or so, chariot comes to a grinding halt. Now the sage, he looks back. He has given the king the highest berth. Okay, so the king is at the back, next berth is the sage, and then the charioteer. He looks at the back and he says, "O king, who brought us here?" The king said, "Of course, the charioteer, he was driving the chariot, and based on your instructions, he was driving, and as he was pulling the reins, the horses were running, and as the horses were running, the wheels were rolling, and we have come here." Then the sage smiled. He stops there. When the king said this, he stopped saying anything and he just smiled. He says, "Exactly. Now what you said was the charioteer controlling the reins, the horses running, the wheels rotating, all this was in action. But you, the so-called royal passenger who is sitting behind me, did you do anything?" The king says, "No, I was just watching everything. The countryside. Now and then I was watching the chariot. I was watching the birds flying. I was watching the rivers. Now, I just merely sat and observed everything." Now, the king said this, but he was trying to also understand for himself, where is this conversation going? What is this? He brings me in a chariot and then he says, "Stop," and then he says, "Who brought you here? What is this?" Then the sage says, he knows now, he already has a background. This is a self-realized sage, a Mahatma. So let me be all ears and eyes for him. And he says, "Oh Rajan, this body is the chariot. Your body is like the chariot. The senses are like the horses. The mind are like the reins. And the intellect is the charioteer." You see here? Charioteer. "And you, the true self, the Atman, is the silent passenger." Right now what you are? Silent. Then who is doing all this? All these actions are happening in Prakriti, the only witness. You're only the witness. You're not doing anything. You are the witness. All actions are happening in Prakriti, and the so-called body conglomerate is this entire chariot, the reins, the horses, charioteer, everything. King was clever enough. He had done enough sadhana. Immediately his eyes brightened. He had a spark in his eyes. Then this sage continues, "Just as your presence in the chariot gives it a meaning." When you see, there is, you have this Rath Yatra. The presence of the Lord gives that Rath Yatra a meaning. Otherwise you just pull a chariot, nobody will even look at that chariot. The presence of that Lord, that draws thousands and thousands of devotees. Just like that presence of yourself in the chariot gives its meaning, he says the presence of this Atman gives meaning to this body. And just like as you did not drive the chariot, you do not perform also any action. The gunas of Prakriti, they perform all this action. The king was so happy. He says, oh, that is my true self. Because you cannot ask him to jump 4 feet. Put him first, he says, put him as a witness. So this sage gave him lessons only to put his feet 2 feet ahead, which 2 feet anybody can do. 4 feet is difficult. So he put him on the platform of being a witness. And the king was damn happy for that, because he didn't know the next step also. And he folded his arms again, took the sage's blessings, invited him to his kingdom, did whatever he could do for him, and he moved away from there. So now, if I have to just give you a brief of what is this Prakriti. Now in verse 27, chapter 3, Prakritaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma kartaramiti manyate. Ahankara vimudhatma, that one who has lost his mind, because of ahankara, kartaram iti manyate, meaning he thinks that he is the doer. Prakritaiva cha karmani kriyamanani sarvashah. Prakriti itself does everything. Just like there are so many functions within us, we don't need anybody to tell us. Is it not happening on its own? So, here and there, when we come with some desires and we try to do something, yes, that's where we are taking a different route. But it is that Prakriti which is doing everything. And one who understands this, he has understood truly. Iha pashyati tadatmanam. So meaning that one who knows that, iha pashyati tadatmanam, meaning that Atman is doing, he has seen everything in the right way. Just like the king was sitting there, he was not doing anything. Everything was happening by Prakriti. Now if somebody is seeing somewhere, you should not think that the king is driving the chariot. No, the king is only a witness. So when you look at somebody else, if somebody yells at you, so know that it is out of Prakriti, from his body. What you had to get from him, you are getting from him. That scolding or even a praise, all that is coming. Even if he is deceiving you or if he is doing good to you, he is not the one who is doing it. It is out of Prakriti that Jiva is doing everything. This is one way to come out of that grudge, revenge, or that attachment, all that. So this is one story. I'll just quickly tell you another story where both the cases are covered. Okay, so you get an understanding. Now we are going to the jumping into the after putting one leg on the 2 feet as a witness. Now we, with the other leg, we cross over to the 4 feet brook. Okay. Now this is a beautiful story about a queen and a king. Now here it's about, there was once a queen who was enlightened, Jivan Mukta, who had that Aparoksha Jnana, what we are all trying for. And like the king, he comes to her and he says, my dear, hey Priye, he says, I've seen one thing which is in you, which is very different, that every time I see you're so calm, so patient, and the aura around you is so serene, joyful, not only in calm situations but even in the midst of ups and downs. How do you do that? Tell me your secret. Now the wife said, yes, I was waiting for you to ask this question. Okay, she doesn't immediately say that, no, come, I'll tell you. She says, I was waiting for you. Meaning I knew that something is going on in your head, but unless and until you ask, I'm not going to tell you. She says, what is the secret? The same thing what you have been hearing for these 5 years. You are not this body, you are not this mind, you are not this jiva. All that what Lord Krishna was telling Arjuna and what we have heard over here, the same thing she tells him. that there is awareness within, and whatever is happening are happening at the level of the body, are happening at the level of the mind, and you are that witness consciousness. You are just witnessing, you are not affected by anything. And how to get this? By an inquiry. Start an inquiry. Start understanding. Then for that you need to do Shravana, Manana and all that. So there are some techniques. So the king says, please, I want them. Do you have notes? The queen says, yes, I have got all notes. And then she goes and she nicely removes, she had kept it very safe. She removes all that because one day or the other she knows that it will be of some use to my husband, the great king. So she removes and he says, you start from here and you go on studying this. Now the king says, I want to be like you. No two ways. Immediately he calls his ministers and they said, I am going on a sabbatical. I am not being here. Give me 6 months time. You all please take care. And he immediately summons an emergency meeting and he assigns job to everybody. And then he says, the queen will be in my place and please listen to her. Done. He goes to the forest. And whatever arrangements need to be made, being a king, everything is made. And he goes to the forest. And then there he goes on studying. He has that interest. See, first thing what we need is that interest. With that deep interest, that persuasion, of course, is a clever person. And he does his sadhana. That Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, continuous practice. And he becomes enlightened. He realizes, oh, I am this ever shining infinite existence, consciousness which is there within me. I am that. I am not this body. I am not this mind, nor I am this senses. These are all the apparatus which I am using. And there again, this principle of the chariot, the horses, the mind, it comes from the Kathopanishad. So in her notes, it is the same formula. So he says, I am the king watching this entire action of the body, mind, senses going on. But I am not that. And I am ever free. So he was in that bliss, in that state of witness. So now this clearly shows that you come into this state of witness, you will be in bliss. Okay? Just watching. The jiva is getting happiness, this person is watching. It doesn't matter for him. The jiva is experiencing unhappiness, sorrow, anxiety, fear. This jiva is just watching. And then after a few weeks of this state where he is established in that state of witness and he feels, now I am realized. He says, I want to go and tell my queen who has helped me to reach this state. Fine, I want to be in this bliss. But he goes back to the queen and he confesses to her and he says, look, Priye, I have realized, but I have another question. The queen says, what is the question? Look, see, there is so much of happiness, bliss, serenity, which I always wanted and I have achieved. By the way, whatever you have taught me, I have achieved that. I want to be in that. I don't want to mix with the world. I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to engage in any of these affairs of the kingdom. My question is, but I see you are actually the first lady of the kingdom. And you do all activities. You go to the court, you see everything is properly arranged or not. All the files which have to be presented before me, whether they are in place or not, you do all that. Then you go to the kitchen and you see whatever needs to be done, what guests are coming today. Accordingly, you ensure everything is done. Then you take a round, you go and check the garden, whether everything is properly pruned, cleaned, and flowers have been plucked and put in these various flower pots. All that you say, but you never say, I want to go away, but you remain in that same state of bliss. What's your secret? Then the queen says again, I was waiting for you to ask. Because he knows now he has crossed the first stage. The good news, I'm very happy that you have realized. But that is not the ultimate step. You have just come to the state of being a witness. But there is one more step to it. You are that pure consciousness. Here you are the witness consciousness. But there you are that pure consciousness. So there is one more state to be realized. What is that state? He says, in whatever you see in this external world, which so far what you have done, being in the forest, you came out of all that. You say, I don't want anything outside. When I don't want my body itself, where is that I want anything outside? I'm not that. So when you have turned your mind away from your body and the world, and being a witness of your own self and others around you, you are in that state. So it's not something to be discarded, like to step away from, where I'm saying I am different and that person is different. Okay, so where you have made that everything is different, okay, that's the first step. Now he says, now come to the second step and start seeing oneness of that entire existence. Like what? Now with your eyes closed, you are able to see that awareness. Compare it to like an ocean. You are seeing that ocean of awareness within you, and when you open your eyes, you are able to see the same ocean which is now in the form of waves. Where you see different people, that same ocean of awareness which was in you is appearing as waves. Some are big, some are small, some are thin, some are fat, some are dark, some are fair, tall and short, all this. And the king thought about it. What awareness, or as a witness I was witnessing. Now, not only witnessing myself, I have to start witnessing everybody in the same state. And then he becomes a fully enlightened Jivan Mukta. So now our job is to reach that state. I'm just giving you this preface for our journey ahead. Okay? Where what we are trying to achieve, be careful to understand whatever is being told and make that knowledge your own knowledge. Rather, you become that knowledge. Okay, come. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Idam Namama. Om Tat Sat. We now do the Vishnu Sahasranama. Unfortunately, today we will not be able to do the meditation. If you all can listen to the last time meditation, continue after a while, that would be great. Just take the last previous recording and switch it on and listen. Okay. Shri Vishnu Sahasranama. Verse number 50. Swapanasvavasho vyapi naikatma naikakarmakrita vatsaro vatsalo vatsi ratnagarbhodhaneshwaraha. Vatsaraha 470. The one who has everything under his own personal control, the one who is totally independent. Since He is the Supreme Consciousness, all living creatures and phenomenal powers are functioning by His grace, drawing their capacities to exist and act from Him alone. If He withdraws His patronage, everything in this universe must stop functioning immediately. He is supremely independent, inasmuch as, though the world of objects need Him, He is entirely self-sufficient and needs no world for His existence. Thus, He is totally free. The waves need the ocean, but the ocean is totally independent of the waves' existence. Vatsaraha, the abode of Lord. Not only Lord is living in each one of us as our inner soul, Antaryami, but He is at once the all-pervading essence in which the entire universe exists. And as such, He alone is the abode in which we breathe, live and act. Thus, as the abode of the creatures, He is the endless time and the infinite space at once. For in time, space, field alone do things exist. The term Vatsa in Sanskrit also means calf. The word under discussion here, therefore, can also mean one who gives away calves, Vatsaraha. This is with reference to a story wherein Krishna, who returned to all the Gopas, their calves when they were taken away by the enemies during times of war. So in that way also he got the name Vatsaraha. To such a magnificent Lord, we offer our humble salutations and seek His grace, mercy and blessings. Health is of prime importance. We pray to the Almighty that we have the relevant amount of health till we seek this realization. Om Namo Bhagavate Mahasudarshanaaya Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amrutagalashastaya Sarvabhaya Vinashaya Sarvaroga Nivaranaya Trailokyapataye Trailokyanidhaye Sri Mahavishnu Swarupa Sri Dhanvantari Swarupa Shri 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 Aushadha Chakra Narayanaya Swaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Mahasudarshanaaya Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amrutagalashahastaya Sarvabhaya Vinashaya Sarvaroga Nivaranaya Trailokyapataye Trailokyanidhaye Sri Mahavishnu Swarupa Sri Dhanvantari Swarupa Shri 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 Aushadha Chakra Narayanaya Swaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Mahasudarshanaaya Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amrutagalashahastaya Sarvabhaya Vinashaya Sarvaroga Nivaranaya Trailokyapataye Trailokyanidhaye Sri Mahavishnu Swarupa Sri Dhanvantari Swarupa Shri 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 Aushadha Chakra Narayanaya Swaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. O Lord the Almighty, together we offer today's Jnana Yajna at the lotus feet to seek your grace, mercy and blessings. Naham karta hari preranaya hari prityartam Shri Krishna arpanamastu idam namama Om Tat Sat. Good evening to all of you once again. So, God's grace, we are getting the right tools, the right things in terms of knowledge at the right time. And He has given us this earnestness and the resilience. So please don't slip anyway. Keep praying for His grace and continue your journey. And just like you have to lie down and stop thinking, then only you get to sleep. So in the same way, just keep doing our practices. And somebody sleeps in 2 minutes, somebody sleeps in 10 minutes, somebody takes half an hour, somebody might take even an hour also. So it all depends on how well we have prepared for the sleep. Okay? So keep your sadhana intact, and that will take us to the place where we need to reach. Thank you. Hari Om.
प्रज्ञानघन एवाहं विज्ञानघन एव च अकर्ताहम् अभोक्ताहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः निराधारस्वरूपोऽहम् सर्वाधारोऽहमेव च आप्तकामस्वरूपोऽहम् अहमेवाहमव्ययः तापत्रयविनिर्मुक्तः देहत्रयविलक्षणः अवस्थात्रयसाक्ष्यस्मि अहमेवाहमव्ययः दृग्दृश्यौ द्वौ पदार्थौ स्तः परस्परविलक्षणौ दृग्ब्रह्मदृश्यं मायेति सर्ववेदान्तडिण्डिमः अहं साक्षीति यो विद्यात् विविच्यैवं पुनः पुनः स एव मुक्तः स विद्वान् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः घटकुड्यादिकं सर्वं मृत्तिकामात्रमेव च तद्वद्ब्रह्म जगत्सर्वम् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः ब्रह्म सत्यं जगन्मिथ्या जीवो ब्रह्मैव नापरः अनेन वेद्यं सच्छास्त्रम् इति वेदान्तडिण्डिमः अन्तर्ज्योति बहिर्ज्योतिः प्रत्यग्ज्योतिः परात्परः ज्योतिज्योति स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिशिवोऽस्म्यहम् ज्योतिज्योति स्वयं ज्योतिः आत्मज्योतिशिवो